The lights dim, the music fades, and a hush settles over the studio that was once filled with laughter, rhythm, and the unmistakable sound of a saxophone that could lift any mood. Tonight, the stage feels emptier than ever. Cleto Escobedo, the heartbeat of Jimmy Kimmel Live, is gone. He was just 59 years old. To fans, he was the man with the saxophone and the effortless cool, the one who could make a late-night monologue swing with energy and warmth. But to Jimmy Kimmel, he was so much more. A childhood friend, a brother in every sense of a word, a lifelong companion whose music and presence became the soul of a show millions tuned into every night. When Kimmel announced Cleto's death, his words were raw and heavy. To say that we are heartbroken is an understatement. There was no polished statement, no TV gloss, just grief, pure and human. The man who had spent decades making people laugh suddenly had no words strong enough to capture the pain of losing someone who'd been by his side since childhood. Their story wasn't just one of friendship. It was fate written across the streets of Las Vegas. Two 9-year-old boys, growing up across the street from each other, bonded by humor, curiosity, and a shared love for music and late-night comedy. "We were inseparable," Kimmel once said. "We just became pals, and we've been pals ever since." It's hard to imagine now, but before the world knew them as TV host and bandleader, they were just two kids staying up too late, glued to the TV screen, watching David Letterman crack jokes past bedtime. They dream about doing something like that one day, something that would let them make people laugh and have fun while doing it. For most kids, that kind of dream fades away with age. But for these two, it became destiny. Cleto Escobedo was born into a family of musicians. Music was in his blood, in his bones, in every breath he took. He learned the saxophone young and mastered it early, blending jazz, funk, and soul into a sound that was unmistakably his own. By the time most people his age were figuring out what they wanted to do with their lives, Cleto was already touring with legends, playing alongside Earth, Wind and Fire's Philip Bailey, performing with Paula Abdul, recording with Mark Anthony, Tom Scott, and Take 6. He was a musician's musician, the kind who didn't just play notes, but told stories with every riff. On stage, he wasn't just performing, he was connecting. And then in 2003, the call came that would change his life forever. Jimmy Kimmel was about to launch his own late-night talk show on ABC, Jimmy Kimmel Live. It was a huge gamble. The network wasn't sure if it would work, if audiences would connect, if the comedy would land. But Kimmel knew one thing for sure: he wanted Cleto by his side. "Of course, I wanted great musicians," Kimmel once said. "But more than that, I wanted someone I had chemistry with. And there's nobody in my life I have better chemistry with than him." And so, Cleto became the show's bandleader, and in many ways, its spirit. Every night, as the cameras rolled and the applause echoed, there he was, smiling, laughing, teasing Jimmy, and bringing the energy that set the tone for the entire show. It wasn't just the music, it was the friendship on display. The way they looked at each other, finished each other's jokes, laughed like they were still those two kids back in Vegas. It was real, unfiltered, and rare. There was no showbiz act between them. What viewers saw was exactly what it was: a lifelong friendship that somehow made its way onto national television. In 2016, Kimmel devoted an entire segment to Cleto's 50th birthday. He shared stories that made the audience roar with laughter: the BB gun pranks, the mischievous mooning from the back of a car, the infamous side hack, bicycle with a sidecar, where Kimmel would ride shotgun while Cleto drove straight into garbage, cans just for the fun of it. It was chaos, it was joy, and it was them. But behind the laughter was something deeper, a brotherhood that had endured decades. The kind that can only come from knowing someone's entire story, the triumphs, the heartbreaks, the everyday moments no one else sees. That bond even extended to family. When Jimmy asked Cleto who he wanted in the house band, Cleto immediately said he'd bring his usual guys, musicians Jimmy already knew from years of supporting Cleto's gigs before fame ever found him. But then Jimmy had an idea that would make TV history. "What about your dad?" he asked. And just like that, Cleto Escobedo Jr., his father, joined the show, two generations of Escobedos playing side by side every night. It wasn't just music anymore. It was family. For Cleto, that was the best part of it all. After years on the road, touring the world and chasing music across cities and countries, the late-night show offered something touring never could: time with family. "Touring is fun," he once said, "but it's more of a young man's game. It's not really conducive for family life. Sometimes you leave when your kids are babies, and when you come back, they're talking. It's like, what happened?" At Jimmy Kimmel Live, Cleto found the perfect balance: music, friendship, and home all in one place. But then, suddenly, that music stopped. Fans noticed first when an episode of the show was abruptly canceled. No explanation, no warning. Just silence. The guests were already booked: David Duchovny, Joe Keery, Madison Beer. But something had happened behind the scenes, something too painful for words. A few days later, the truth broke. Cleto Escobedo had died. The cause of death wasn't immediately revealed. All that mattered was that he was gone. And for those who knew him, both on and off camera, the loss felt like the world had dimmed a little. Jimmy Kimmel's tribute was short, simple, and devastatingly heartfelt. He didn't talk about ratings or TV milestones. He talked about friendship, about gratitude, about the impossible reality of having worked every day beside the same person you grew up with, and then losing him. "Cherish your friends," he wrote. "Please keep Cleto's wife, children, and parents in your prayers." Those who knew Cleto best say he was the kind of man who made every room brighter. He was funny, genuine, and endlessly kind. He never chased fame, even when it found him. He cared more about the music, the laughter, and the people he loved. It's rare in this industry to see a friendship like his and Jimmy's last that long, from childhood to adulthood, from small-town dreams to Hollywood success. But that's what makes this loss so heavy. Because their story wasn't just about fame. It was about loyalty. Even now, fans can't help but think about how deeply his absence will be felt. For more than 20 years, Cleto's saxophone opened every episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, his grin lighting up the bandstand, his energy radiating across millions of screens. That sound, that joy, became part of the show's DNA. And though the music may go on, something essential will be missing. Cleto's legacy isn't just in the songs he played or the shows he led. It's in the relationships he built, the laughter he inspired, and the example he set. He proved that success doesn't have to change who you are. That you can be humble, grounded, and good, even in an industry that often forgets those things. He lived his dream, but he never stopped being that same kid from Las Vegas, the one who loved to make people laugh, who cherished his family, and who always had his best friends back. Tonight, the music world and late-night TV both mourn a man who made their worlds better simply by being in them. The stage lights may dim, but the sound of Cleto Escobedo's saxophone, that soulful, joyful sound, will echo forever. Somewhere out there, maybe in a place beyond the spotlight, two best friends are laughing again. The jokes, the music, the chaos, it all lives on. Rest easy, Cleto Escobedo. You made the world brighter. And for those who knew you, and for those who felt your warmth through a TV screen night after night, your song will never truly end. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to daily updates and never miss a video.